Welcome to the 300 subscriber Q&A session. First of all, I'd like to thank those of you that left a question in the previous video for this episode. I'm going to do my best to spend a couple of minutes on each question, and also I will leave the actual question and the timestamp of each of the questions in the comments below. So let's get started and just dive into the first question. Coming from Enderman22. They asked, what do you think are the biggest problems in Western society today? Well, for me, one problem that I definitely think is a huge one, because I suffer from it and I'm working through it at the same time, is instant gratification. I do think that society today is very much about I want it yesterday. I think with the rise of social media, the internet, and instant television, instant everything, people are so used to just getting things handed to them very, very quickly. And I think people are losing the art or the idea that it can take 5, 10, or 15 years to actually complete something. If you think about somebody who is a PhD or a business owner, it can take you anywhere between 8 to 11 years to get a PhD in a field, or longer. It can also take you anywhere between 5 or 10 years to create a thriving and successful business. And I think a lot of people start YouTube channels, or they start small businesses, or they start learning something new, and within a few months they are not getting the results they want, so they drop it and switch to something else. I think if you can teach yourself to be disciplined and ignore that instant gratification dopamine hit from social media, or if you can push through, I think you'd have an unfair advantage to 90% of the people in Western society. I really do think it is destroying our attention span, and I think it's destroying us as a people. We're so used to Twitter headlines and instant everything that we're just getting so good at being distracted. And as I just mentioned, if you can train yourself not to be like that, I think that you would have a super large competitive advantage to majority of people around you. I hope that answered your question, EnderGame22. Really, instant gratification for me is the biggest problem in Western society today. The second question from another user was Lynn's question. Lynn Silva asked a question. I would love to know where you are on your journey. Subsections of that question are you where you want to be? And what is the best thing you've done this year to improve your personal life? So we kind of got one question with two little sub questions in there. Where are you in your journey? Well, I currently in my struggling to succeed journey, or my personal development journey, I really do feel like I'm starting a second phase. I have spent the last 5 or 6 years really embedding some of the basic routines and changing my normal. My new normal of what I do today is completely different to what I did maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and it's constantly evolving. But I really do feel like I'm moving to a next level. I'm really trying to get past sort of your entry level personal development habits, routines, and strategies, and I'm really trying to dive deep into specializing in certain fields in my life, whether that be coaching, creating a business, working on a YouTube channel. I'm really trying to create a niche for myself right now, rather than this kind of changing my habits of a new sort of person into personal development, trying to change things. I'm really trying to grow your life, and I've moved past that part. I think those habits will always be there. Am I where I want to be? I would say yes and no. I would say that I think I could be further ahead, but also at the same time, I can sit here and be very, very impressed of where I am and what I've done and where I've come from the last 5 or 6 years since I really started taking personal development seriously. I have seen quite dramatic growth. I mean, in 2012, I was working in retail, earning under $15 an hour, and I've pretty much tripled my per annum in the last 4 or 5 years. So am I where I want to be? I would say yes and no. I think I could definitely be doing better, but I've definitely come a long way. The last question, or part of the question there from Lynn, was, what have I done in this year to improve my personal life? Well, this is a good question, because I had to think about this one a little bit, and it actually comes back to this YouTube channel. I actually was only going to do it for 1 year, but I decided to do it for 2 years, and I'm going to continue doing the channel for the foreseeable future. And this year, doing the YouTube channel again for another year has really taught me the lesson about having a big goal, a big, fat, hairy, audacious goal out there in the world, But then what are you doing on a weekly, daily, weekly, monthly basis to like move towards that? And having a YouTube channel and doing a video a weekly or doing two videos a week, it really shows you the little small baby steps. You're just moving on to the next step, then the next step, and the next step. And if you really think about that as a personal development skill, being able to look at your big goal and then break it down into what you're doing each week is a fantastic skill to have. And I'm really trying to suck that knowledge out of this YouTube experience. And over the last year, doing this again, and I've recently gone over the last 3 or 4 months to nearly 2 videos a week. And that ability to keep coming to the plate, keep coming up with ideas, and keep moving things forward really shows you that over a 2-year period, the compounding effect of that is fantastic. I really hope that I can take those lessons from this and use it in other areas of my life. Okay, thanks for your question, Lynn. The next set of questions come from Kaylee. Her first question, I think she's got 2 in this. Her first question is, what are maybe your top 3 books for a general overview for someone starting their personal development journey? Well, handily enough, I have the 3 books set aside because I might have planned this answer. But the 3 books here are Robin Sharma's The Leader Who Had No Title. I'll just put that back over there. I've got Millionaire Success Habits by Dean Graziosi. Put that back over there. And I've got Pivot by Adam Markle. Markle. Okay, so the reason why I picked those 3 books is the first one by Robin Sharma, I definitely think is a little bit more conceptual. It's a little bit more about the why. It's a little bit of a fable about, learning how to be a leader in your own life. And I think those are tools that everybody really needs to learn. And the other 2, the Adam Markle one and the Dean Graziosi one, they really have tools, techniques, and strategies and actual exercises that you can do over a 30-day period that can help you install some of the success habits or personal development habits that can help you. So the Robin Sharma book, it's the book that I read in 2013 that got me really tuned in to personal development and really wanting to be a better person myself. It was like a little bit more like your why. And then the other 2 that I've read over the last number of years have given me little like strategies and tools and techniques to actually implement those ideas. And that's why I think for anybody starting out a personal development journey, these 3 books really will give you a super core fundamental blocks to your journey. The next question from Kaylee is, let me just get it here. How do you feel personal development plans differ depending on your age or job? Let's say being a young retail worker versus a more mature office worker. It's a great question. The first way I'm going to answer this is, if you're starting from no personal development, I think those journeys are both very similar. If you haven't got, let's say, your basic personal development strategies in there, like your journaling, your meditating, your exercising, your eating healthily, if you haven't got those kind of routines and habits in your life, that's where both people should start. The slightly different idea for me is I was a late starter. I was in my mid-30s when I started personal development. And I think if I had any advice for somebody in their 20s, is that you have the time and the space to not only install the habits that will be with you for life, going to bed early, getting up early, meditating, journaling, all those kind of things that I've talked about on Struggling to Succeed. Not only will you install those, but you also have the opportunity to fuck around a little bit for a couple of years. You can go and do different things and experiment and try to find a niche that works for you and something that you feel good working on. Because I think following your passions are really stupid comment. I think what you do is you work on things and you find things that you like, and then they grow into being passions. And when I flip on that, someone like myself who started in their mid-30s, I had to look at what I'd already done over the past 10 or 15 years and then double down on those skills to see how I could move myself forward. So I think that's where the slight difference is that when you're younger, you have the opportunity to play still. I think when you're older, you've got less time. You might have a little bit of regret. So you're kind of looking about, well, what is the shortest way for me to push myself forward? And for me, that was looking about what I was already good at. And I've taken the things that I was already good at. I was a retail manager for 10 or 15 years. I worked with teams. And what I did is I decided to take the things that I was already pretty good at and I doubled down on them because I had that 10 years of fucking about behind me to then really flesh those ideas and those experiences from my work life that might have just happened by mistake because I ended up managing here or managing there. But then I took those experiences and really solidified them into skills. And then that has helped me push myself forward over the last number of years. So I think that's the slight difference. When you're younger, install the habits. When you're older, you're going to have to install the habits. But I think when you're younger, you get to play a little bit and find the niche that you want to be into. I think when you're older, you've got to take the experiences you've already got, decipher what's good, and then double down on them, and that can help you push forward. So I hope that answered your question, Kaylee. The next set of questions come from Daniel. He's got a couple of quick fire ones, and then he's got a real doozy, which I'm going to spend a little bit of time on. His first question was, do you have any tattoos? No, I don't. I might get some in the future. There's a couple of ideas that I have, but currently, no, I don't have any tattoos. Another question from Daniel was, have you ever had ADHD? For easy to answer that is no. I do know that school was difficult for me. I was not the best student. I was like a CD student all the way through. Didn't have the best time in school. Was in special classes for certain things, English and math. I think I came in through the schooling system through the 80s and the 90s in Northern Ireland. So ADHD wasn't really something that was talked about. I only really came across it in the late 90s, early 2000s and beyond, especially moving over here to North America. People talk about it a bit more. So maybe I would have been diagnosed with it. Who knows? I'm not going to self-diagnose myself. I do know that I struggle a little bit with focusing on things, and school was not the best for me. But yeah, I've never had that diagnosed. Maybe I should do a test and find out. Who knows what the answer would be. But good question anyway, Daniel. The other question that Daniel has here is, what is your happiest moment? I think I'm just going to, pretty simple for me. I got married last year and I went on a honeymoon to Paris, and both my wife and I were just blown away with Paris and how beautiful it was, and it was a fantastic 10 days, and that was probably the most happiest time in my life. It was a real sort of couple of weeks of really solidifying our relationship, but also seeing the opportunity that there would be out there for us to try to create remote jobs. And I think we're both working towards that now. And I think that holiday to Paris has definitely motivated us in that respect. So it's a very happy moment that we'll always look back on for the years to come. And then, Daniel, your final question, which I could probably spend an hour on just talking, but I'm going to try to quickly cover it here. What are my views on religion? Let me just take a wee sip of tea and let this one sink in for a second. Oh, it's good tea. So, I come from Northern Ireland. I don't know if you know anything about Northern Ireland, but there's a real problem there with Protestants and Catholics. I've always been very skeptical of religion because I've seen how it's been used to minimize, separate, and inflame racial and religious divides in a country. So I've not really been religious myself at any time. I've not been anti-religious, and I'm not an atheist, but I'm very, to use the word again, skeptical of how it gets used. I do think that all religions have an ideology lock, that it doesn't matter whether you're into Judaism, Taoism, Stoicism to a certain respect, Christianity, or even Islamic religions, Muslim. I think all of them come with their own set of problems and their own set of ideologies that trap you from really getting to the next level of personal development or spiritual development. I think they all come with a good map that if you're using your religion to be to bring happy vibes into your life and into your community, I think that's all the well for you, all the better for you, and I think that's great. But as soon as you start using religion to oppress people because of their sex, their religion, their gender, I think you've got a problem there. I think that is more of a says more about you as a person using religion as a tool like that over the actual religion. Again, I'm not anti-religion, but I do think religion has limits. I think that religion can help you get halfway up the mountain, but I think to really get to the next level of actualization, I think that you've got to let religion go. And I think that once you kind of let religion go, you can actually see more opportunity and you can see past religion. Now, I believe in the universe. I believe in kind of higher than religion. Do I believe in a God sitting up there in the clouds making decisions? No, I don't believe in that. I think that's a Western Christian idea that's a bit silly, to be fair. but I do believe there is a mystical power. There is something out there that we can't really describe, and we haven't really discovered what it is yet, but I think there are sages and mystics out there that have worked towards something, and I definitely think there's too much evidence out there to say that there isn't something. But at the same time, I do think that religion itself can be quite heavy and can anchor you down from actually discovering new truths in life. So that's my view on religion. I could do a deeper video or a deeper conversation around that. I'm still trying to formulate my own ideas. I am a recovering anti-religion person because of my youth growing up in Northern Ireland. Not to go on about it again, but it's quite depressing seeing two people pretty much following the same religion, except for a couple of characters are different. I think the ending's the same. I think God is the ending of both the books, you know. And it's a little bit disappointing to grow up in a country where people have literally murdered each other because of slight changes in the book that they both follow. And that's why I'm very skeptical with religion. And I probably spent a little bit longer on that question than I wanted to, but it's something that probably resonates with me because it's definitely a question that hits home for my own life experiences. But thanks for the question, Daniel, and I hope I was able to answer it. Sorry, the sun's coming in through. I've had a really grey day here, and all of a sudden the sun's coming through into my apartment, which is fantastic probably for the video quality. Anyway, last questions that I'm going to answer come from the Jarvo. He's got a set of 3. 2 of them around stoicism and 1 of them to do with supplements. I'm going to start with the one with supplements. Okay, how much of the effect of the supplements do you think is placebo, and how much... Sorry, I'm going to reread that question. How much of the effect of the supplements do you think is placebo, and how much do they work? Okay, so... that's a good question. I do think there is a little bit of a placebo effect with some of the supplements, but generally I think they do work. I have tried a good number of supplements and some of them haven't worked and I don't use them anymore. But the supplements that I keep coming back to, especially from Natural Stacks, I've got CLTEP, dopamine brain food, acetylcholine brain food, and the serotonin brain food. I actually find they do work for me. Where the placebo effect comes in on these is sometimes when I need to be on, I'm saying to myself, I need to be on, and I take the pills and I'm on. How much of that was the pills and how much of that was me mentally telling myself to be on? Now, I do know from doing little testing myself where I've removed all other sort of stimulants, coffee and other things, and I've just taken the drugs or the supplements themselves, they have worked for me. And the way they work for me is creating a little bit of extra flow, a little bit of focus time. And yeah, I mean, they're not going to work for everybody. Everybody's different. They might not work for you, but the ones that I'm currently taking and the ones I've talked about on my channel before, they work for me. And I do think that they are handy, but I also do think there is a little bit of placebo effect sometimes on 1 or 2 of them. And, you know, are they helpful? Yeah, so I'm going to keep taking them. So the other questions from the Jarvo, the sort of 2 stoic ones. The first one, which I'll do, and then I'll answer the second one, obviously. What first drew you to Stoic philosophy, and why did you stick to this philosophy, perhaps other than... sorry, oh my God, I've ruined reading those questions out. What drew you first to Stoic philosophy, and why did you stick with it over other philosophies like Buddhism or other mental philosophies? Well, very, very quickly in this one, I think Stoicism is very, very practical. I think sometimes with Buddhism, Taoism, and some Zen teachings, they're a bit wishy-washy. They're kind of like your interpretation. Where Stoicism to me is like you're talking to another human, another person, and they're giving you a direct answer. Like you could be calling up your mentor and you'd be complaining about something, and you're like, "Oh, this situation's doing my head in," and your mentor says to you, "I think you're suffering more in imagination than you are in reality." And that's a quote from Seneca, but it's really, really usable or applicable for that situation. I mean, they're very much tactical quotes that I feel you can read anytime and they can help you within a situation. I can pick up a Stoic quote book, whether it's Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday or whether it is one of the actual books, Seneca or Marcus Aurelius or Epictetus, and I can pretty much flick to any page and read something that kind of sort of is applicable to what I'm actually going through right now. And that's where I think Stoicism wins over maybe some of the more spiritual sort of philosophies like Buddhism, Taoism, and Zen teachings. not to repeat myself, but they can be a little wishy-washy and like mind puzzles. And sometimes I don't want a mind puzzle. Sometimes I just want to be consoled with wise words that can help me deal with the situation that's in front of me right now. The second question that came, the third and last question that came from Jarbo was, of all the Stoic quotes you've discussed over the last 100 videos, what is your favorite? Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity by Seneca. The reason why I picked this quote and the reason why it's my favorite is it kind of sums up personal development for me, and it sums up this channel for me, is that when you learn new things and when you're continually pushing yourself forward, eventually the things that you're learning, there will be an opportunity to use them. Now, if you're working within a corporate environment and you're actually doing courses on coaching or change management or whatever it is, if you're actually learning the things that your corporate environment is going through at that time, you will have the opportunity to use them. But if you're learning how to draw sand art, I just made that up, whatever, I don't know. If you're learning how to do some sort of like art, but yet you're working in a corporate environment, the opportunity of you doing art might not ever really come into your corporate environment. And that's a great habit to have, and that's fantastic. But I think when luck is when opportunity meets, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. I think that really for me means that you're preparing for something and then the opportunity comes up. And for me, that's an important sort of quote, and it's my favorite because it's the reason why I do read a lot. It's the reason why I do try to look for situations that are going on in my life right now within work, within the projects that I've got outside of work, and I read books and I look at podcasts or start listening to podcasts or I look at YouTube videos around those subjects, and then eventually I get to use those learnings quite rapidly. So people who believe in the law of attraction, so I'm just going to take a sip here. People who believe in the law of attraction might think that if I just keep saying something, it will happen. Or people who maybe lean too much on the law of attraction, they might read a book on coaching and then all of a sudden a coaching opportunity comes up and they're like, oh, it's the law of attraction. And I would argue back, no, it's not. It's you've read a book on something that you're doing within your life, and then an opportunity has come up for you to use those skills and that knowledge. It's not luck. It's preparation meeting opportunity. That's all the questions that were left in the last video. So thank you very much again for all those people that left a question. I hope I was able to answer some of them. If you want to leave a comment below and give me some feedback on the answers that I give in this video, please do. I'd be happy to continue the conversation or even do a second one of these Q&A sessions. Thanks very much for watching. I really hope you got something out of this. I found this very interesting because some of the questions really did take me by surprise, and I had to think about them a little bit more than I thought I was going to have to. So again, I really appreciate those questions. Hope to see you next time, and thanks very much again for watching. I've repeated myself a few times there. Make it a good one.